I mean, for all we know, Luna could be the one that sounds the best.
Going to a mental health clinic to deal with all the comments.
Excuse me? I'm sorry, what was that? Problem. Luna sounds too good compared to my other DAWs, Logic and Cubase. This was posted 5 years ago. Hello nerds, welcome back to an episode of Weaver Reacts. I just want to clarify, today I will be reacting to a video in a chair that makes me look like a toddler. I'm not a toddler, okay? I'm a big boy. Today we're reacting to part 2 of White Sea Studio, talking about whether or not DAWs sound different. I didn't want to do this video. I have to do this video. No, but seriously, like I actually do, because like I guess he like followed up on the original one. There's more testing, more important stuff. We're gonna find out, do different music software sound different? Also, who wore it better, me or Steve? Do different DAWs sound different?
Do different DAWs sound different? That is the exact question I asked in this video. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it. And that video was actually a response to a discussion going on Instagram. But today I want to dig a little bit deeper, because it turns out we haven't tested everything and there was a small flaw in my testing methodology as well.
So, I mean, he didn't really acknowledge the problems in the first video, but I mean, he was talking about how the DAWs didn't sound different, but clearly there was signal being left in the comparisons. So yeah, I mean, there were obviously some issues with it.
Alright, so that video got a lot of comments. At the moment of making this video, that video stands at like 1200 comments. I tried to read them all and I picked out the best ones. The first comment that I want to reply to is...
Yeah, if there's something you should always do, is review all of your comments. You can never go wrong with reviewing all your comments, for sure.
Let's export from all the DAWs and make the guy blind identify them. Would be a fun video.
It wouldn't be a fun video. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to burst your bubble here, guys. Would not be a fun video. It would actually be extremely boring. You know, if you want to make it fun, we're gonna have to up the stakes somehow. You know, something bad happens to the guy that gets him wrong. Maybe make him blind.
I think this particular comment is referring to the guy that initially stated that DAWs were sounding different.
Okay, then definitely blind that guy.
When it comes to blind testing, it's interesting. So whenever you can test something with a proper null test and things are nulling, a blind test is really not necessary, because, you know, when you can prove that there's no difference in the exact bit stream that your converter is sending out to your speakers.
Yeah, another thing about doing a blind test here is, I mean, the difference was so insignificant. Like, I mean, maybe the other guy thinks he could blind test and tell which one is which, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, after hearing the null testing, like there's no point. Except maybe, I don't know. I mean, unless he didn't, I'm assuming he got the Reaper test wrong. Because there was a big difference there.
A blind test really, you know, it makes no sense. When a blind test makes sense is whenever you cannot null something, whenever you cannot create a null test. For instance, in my RME power supply video, I'm gonna link that one over here. There was no way where I could reliably create a null test for this. And I've tried a lot of things. I couldn't. So then you get into a listen test, a blind listen test or whatever. And it's confusing. It's really confusing. I really recommend you to watch that video. But that's where a blind test can help. But even then, to set up...
So the thing here is like, well, okay, so a null test is very scientific, but what the claims that are originally being made in the first video that White Sea reacted to, that was not a scientific claim. It was somebody describing the differences between the sounds of each software, a claim that pretty much no one has ever made before. So that's not, by definition, that's just not scientific. The thing is like a null test would be a scientific way to prove that there isn't like a huge difference between them, or the difference is not very much, but it still doesn't exactly prove those claims. I think this is the kind of thing that you can't actually have a perfect answer for, that you can only answer it objectively to a certain point. And then after that, it's like really up to people's perceptions, and people are never gonna have a perfect perception when it comes to anything, but especially audio, because people are gonna hear things differently, just based on their ears alone, like every person's set of ears.
I got two, or actually multiple, but I got two comments. It's normally pen law differences. Check the pen law value in different DAWs when conducting a null test. It must be...
This is like the nerdiest of nerdy shit. Okay, so let's break down like how far into the nerd rabbit hole we've gone here. First of all, we're talking music production software. We're talking DAWs. A lot of people don't even know what the fuck that is. Then we're talking about trying to cancel out the differences in sound between them. Then we're talking about something called pan law, which I don't even know what the fuck that was till like a year ago. Do any of those words make sense to you?
Another comment here, a really interesting one. Personally, I believe the perceived differences people say they experience comes down to the UI and UX of each application. The application makes you end up with a different mix because it feels different to use. It's not that the software...
Well, it's not even just that. Like if you're mixing in each software, you're going to make slight differences like without even looking at the software. Like you're not going to make the exact same mix every single time, even if you're using the same plugins and whatnot.
Software sounds different. It is that the software makes you use it differently and you end up with a different sounding mix. This is the whole audio thing. Like we listen with our eyes and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I think that's a human thing. If you feel good while making music, your music will sound better. It feels better. Everything is better. And if you feel like shit when making your music sounds like shit. At least to you. All right. So I had a few flaws in my testing and this came up in a few comments as well. In a Reaper session you used to bounce. Your stems are resampled because the session and the item are not the same. And I think they mean sample rate here. That's why there is some...
This is why I fucking hate Reaper, dude. Like what? It's making it way too overly complicated. For like no reason.
Icon on the items, and that's why you get some differences. You just activated the resampling algorithm. And this made me think, because yes, I did indeed activate the resample algorithm. In Reaper it happens on the fly. In Pro Tools it happens while you import it. In Logic I think it resamples also while you import it. And if you look at Reaper, you can have different resample modes. I've actually tweaked mine. I have everything at R8 Brain. Should be the best. It also says at highest quality. I should maybe test this anyway, but sometimes I think by default the playback resample mode is set at 64 points and the render one at, I don't know, 384 or something. This already says that it's resampling differently between playbacking and rendering, and then Pro Tools is using a different upsampling algorithm and Logic. So that's where those different...
I mean, if anything, this kind of proves that there's too much customization in Reaper. It's kind of causing problems.
Where those clicks were, because what I did is I lowered all my stems to -12, I think, also to make sure that we don't have the fader curve issue. So I lowered everything so everything is in a reasonable level, then made an export of those stems in 96 kilohertz so that all DAWs have the same source and do not have to resample anymore. And I did a verification test, and here it is, Logic versus Reaper. Now, I don't know if you can see this. Let me show you my
no difference.
My screen here. So we are playing, and our converter shows minus infinite, like no level.
Oh my god, guys, there is no fucking difference.
There's nothing coming out of it. So we've got a perfect null here.
Zoinks, dare I say.
Now, how does this go with Pro Tools? Let's try it out. So Pro Tools, and we've got, again, a perfect null. And the perfect null is what we're looking for, because there's only one reason why something nulls. Now, I wanted to spice this up a little bit.
How are you gonna... Okay, I'm probably pause Andying right now, but I don't understand how you're gonna spice this up. You've just proved that they do not sound different. The video's over. Video should be over now.
And I've installed Luna from Universal Audio because they claim that they're doing something different. So what I did here is I made...
It's okay. So to spice this up, I've installed a DAW that almost no one uses. I mean, if you want to spice it up, you should bring in like Ableton and FL Studio. I feel like at least bring in the ones that people are using. Okay. I already know there's gonna be 3 people commenting they use Luna. Okay, whatever. You don't count.
Made a Luna verify as well. This is the difference between Logic, Reaper, or Pro Tools, because they are the same. I can just use one of them, and Luna.
Oh.
And in Luna, we are indeed seeing a difference in sound.
Oh, there you go, guys. Luna has true analog warmth.
It's get difficult because what is the exact difference? Like, it has these API vision plugins, whatever. Now I turned them off, and I still get a difference. Does it mean that Luna sounds different? Yeah, kinda. It can also be some phase swapping somewhere.
I mean, for all we know, Luna could be the one that sounds the best. If there's a difference, we don't know.
In the frequency spectrum, and that, you know, makes a big difference in a null test, but doesn't make a big difference in how something is sounding. This is something where we are going to need to dig deeper. Let me remove Luna from the equation.
Yes, we've approached like peak, final level, final boss nerd territory. But yeah, let's go deeper for sure.
Right now, because again, it doesn't null right now. So for our further testing, we cannot rely on a null test to really test this. One of the things I saw in a few comments was that I was null testing in Reaper. And by doing that, my testing was flawed because...
That's actually a good point. Well, it's not that it's flawed, but whatever software you test it in is going to be influencing the sound if we're testing what the differences in sound are. God, this is... I'm not gonna lie. This whole thing is stupid. But I mean... That's why I'm reacting to it.
According to the comments, I was testing the differences in sound between different DAWs, but I'm testing it in a DAW that should be having a different sound, blah, blah, blah. Now, there is a whole...
Well, it doesn't matter which one you tested in. The fact is, if there is some sort of difference, perceived difference, and there was in the original video at least, there was like clicks and popping or whatever, but yeah, it's going to influence it.
Part of that video that I edited out because it was very boring, where I did actually test if it would make a difference to do the null test in a different DAW. So for this video...
That's crazy. So like, okay, I mean, if you guys remember in my other video, like I did kind of complain a little bit about like the video was kind of boring, which is funny because this video is probably kind of boring too. But yeah, there's actually shit that was edited out that was too boring to make the cut, that's great.
For those commenters, I am going to quickly show you in Pro Tools that if I use the same verification files that I just used in Reaper, there we go. So again, we've got Pro Tools on playback.
Well, to be fair, if it nulls in one of the softwares, it'll null in the other ones too. I mean, I don't see why it would make a difference. It only matters if they don't null.
Now, another test that I wanted to do is what would happen if we would add plugins to the mix. Like,
I don't think we need to add plugins to the mix. I sound like him. I need more practice on my White C Studio. What is it? White C Studio audio impression. Fuck! I need to work on my impression of him.
Is there a difference in how these different DAWs handle different plugins? So what I did is I made a simple chain with FabFilter plugins, a Pro Q4, a Saturn with a little bit of saturation, and a Pro C. Now,
I mean, there could be a slight difference, maybe.
Please note that in Reaper, I'm using a VST plugins, because we're testing something else here as well. I bounced a mix of this from Reaper. I bounced a mix of this from Pro Tools. So I've used the same settings. I actually made presets. That's the cool thing about FabFilter. It's independent of which DAW you're using. The presets are just stored with the plugin. And I bounced a mix from Logic. Now I said, keep in mind that we're using VST in Reaper, because Pro Tools uses AAX plugins and Logic uses audio unit plugins. So there's a difference between those plugins already.
So that's kind of a variable that's not really accounted for here. So if there is a difference between the plugins being utilized in each DAW, it could also be down to whether what plugin type you're using. So it's not good that we have variables here already, because if there is a difference, then we're not going to know exactly what is causing the difference.
These mixes over here, so we've got our Pro Tools one over here and our Reaper one over here. And let's press play and see what my output is doing. So we are playing back here. It's awfully silent, like, but we do see some output here.
And I think you could just disregard that. That's like nothing. That's got to be less than in the original test. The original test as in the first video.
Minus 9796. So there's no perfect null here. So that means there is a difference between Pro Tools and Reaper as soon as you start using plugins.
But you got to clarify though, it could be due to the variable of the different plugin types.
But what I want to do now is use my output booster here and boost the output with 80 decibels, because I want to know what's not nulling, what's happening here. All right. So
see, the problem with this though, when you're boosting whatever is not being nulled, you don't know how that affects the actual sound of each file, because it's going to sound like virtually the same thing every time. It's going to sound like the stuff that you heard in the song, unless it's just like one specific thing for whatever reason, like the horns or whatever. So it's a bunch of fucking noise. Okay, wow. Yeah, I don't know. There's a big difference here, man. You lose some of that analog warmth, some of that analog noise in Pro Tools or Reaper, whichever one. We don't even know which one.
It's a whole bunch of noise. And noise is something interesting, because there's noise being introduced somewhere in the plugin processing or something. And the thing with noise is it's random.
So I don't know if he's like, is he not going to address, I mean, he did kind of address the fact they're different plugin types, but that could be the thing making the difference here.
If both DAWs are inserting this noise, it's random noise, so it won't null. Let's compare
null.
our Pro Tools against Logic with the same output booster. Yeah, we're basically getting the same noise. Let's do it against Reaper as well to really
24/7 DAW noise to null too.
Make this whole thing come round. Still noise. So all these three DAWs produce a bit of this noise. Mind you, 80 decibels lower than this. It's like our noise floor somewhere. So they all produce noise. It's random noise, so that's why it doesn't exactly null. But I do think that we can say that these three DAWs, even though they all have their differences, process audio in the same way.
So I would like to hear an argument from somebody on why that noise there is important. Let me know, guys. Wrong answers only. Why is that noise important there, and why should you use whatever DAW?
That's because I know how comments work, being a YouTuber for 8 years and going to a mental health clinic to deal with all the comments.
Excuse me? I'm sorry, what was that? I'm gonna be honest, bro. If you find yourself having to go to a mental health clinic to deal with your YouTube comments, I think it's either time to either stop doing YouTube, or B, don't read the comments. I think the third option, C, which is continue reading the comments and going to a mental health hospital and then acknowledging it and then continuing to read the comments, is probably not the best answer. Just saying here. Don't want this guy to quit, but also I feel like that's not good. See, this is why I suggest never read your comments, guys. I'm just kidding. I do read some of them. Just not all of them. I just can't deal with it, all right? I can't deal with the insanity. Some of you guys are funny. Some of you guys are fucking insane.
I didn't do enough testing. I didn't work hard enough. I didn't do my best. No. Because there must be a difference in live playback.
So the difference, if there's a difference in live playback between each software, does that really matter? I mean, it could maybe affect some of your decisions, your mixing decisions. So I guess it could, but at the end of the day, when you render it out, it doesn't matter. I don't think there is much of a difference, if there is any. There probably isn't any, because I'm pretty sure these softwares, they try to mimic on render what they're doing in the software. Like, that's, at least if they're good, that's what they should be trying to do.
I've showed in Reaper, there's difference between rendering and playback when it comes to resampling. Now, we're not doing any resampling because everything is at 96 kilohertz. But if there's a difference in resample mode, there must be other things that a DAW does do different during the live playback compared to a rendered. So, the sound that you're listening to while you are working on it can be different from the sound of your rendered or bounced file. So, what I did is I used the loop backing of my Army Total Mix.
When people ask what I do for a living, I just want to send them a picture of this. I'm just going to send them a picture of this and say nothing.
That is being rooted to. Yeah, anyway, so I used the loop back feature to basically loop back what is being sent to my converter. So loop back what I'm listening and recording that back. I use Reaper for
this is so tedious, man.
For this, you think that I should have done this in another DAW? Do your own testing, please. So I looped it back.
I mean, instead of saying do your own testing, why don't you just say if you think I should have done this in another DAW? I think, never mind, I'll just cut that part out.
Aligned everything perfectly. You can see that over here if I zoom in. This is our group, and Reaper shows an overlay of all the stems in our group here. you can see that everything...
Okay, so to clarify here, if it wasn't clear, I believe use loopback in order to record the audio from each DAW of the live playback of the song, and he's comparing them here.
So we got Reaper and Pro Tools live output against each other. Let's see what we get. So we are playing back, and we are getting...
Wow.
The same thing. I think if I enable my output booster now... Same random noise. So, how's that against Logic then?
I mean, I think like we got the conclusion here. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? The DAWs do not sound different. And if they do, it's when you're using plugins and it's just a bunch of fucking noise, which does not matter because why would noise matter? Especially when you have to turn it up 80 decibels.
And my conclusion would be there's no difference between these DAWs. And the way that science works is really interesting, because what I now want you to do is prove me wrong, because that's science.
I mean, I don't think anyone's going to prove you wrong unless they fuck up the test. Because like if you've nulled the results, then how are they going to prove you wrong unless they end up doing it wrong?
As for Luna, there is a difference. That's what they're claiming. Harrison is claiming that there's a difference.
Wait, what are Luna's claims about? Wait, hold on, let me look this up. Excuse me? Problem. Luna sounds too good compared to my other DAWs. This was posted 5 years ago. Luna can sound different. Okay, we're just looking at like forum posts here, so I'm not really sure if like we can really trust this, but like I just looked up this question and there's no answer from the official website that I could see. So I guess part of, at least according to AI overview here, yeah, I know. Luna, unlike many other DAWs, offer features like built-in tape and summing emulations, which can lead to a perception of a different sonic character. So I guess by design, it's supposed to sound different. Not that you can't sound different, like make it sound different in other softwares, but like, I guess it's a built-in feature. All right, let me know your guys' thoughts on this down below. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here. If you want to support the channel, consider joining my Patreon or becoming a channel member. Blah, 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 blah. There is an affiliate link for Plugin Boutique down below, and basically anything you buy there via that link, I get like 10% of it or something. It's a great way to support without like just throwing money at me. You just buy your own thing, and then yeah, you get the point. All right, see you guys next time.